And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And yes, welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show, always helping you understand your buying decisions, making you more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We'd love for you to reach out to the hotline. You can call or text. It's an off-air number, and we greatly appreciate those that reach out every week. We get callers, text coming in, and we greatly appreciate that. And that's the goal of the show, is to reach out and let us put you in touch with attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, tech experts, so many different great categories associated with this show. Reach out at 813-917-1894. consumerqb.com, 813-917-1894. And we'd love to help you win, of course, in your real estate deals, buying, selling, or investing. And we like to feature our real estate listings right here on the show. And we help our sellers profit more, sell faster, utilizing our innovations with radio, TV, internet marketing. A lot of things we're doing are very innovative and different from the average real estate company out there. So we got a property here at 14121 7th Street in Dade City. This is a restaurant that we've got available for sale. Beautiful property, plenty of parking. We've got a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment upstairs, so it's a great opportunity to have on-site management and all of the equipment, all of the furniture, everything's included, plus the real estate. 14121 7th Street in Dade City. Downtown Dade City, established restaurant since 1990. A beautiful opportunity right here in Tampa Bay. And you can see all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
This is God's country.
And we got a great lineup for you today on the program. We've got Michael Watkins. He's an author. He's a financial expert. 401k Revival going to be on the program today. And attorney Karmika Rubin is going to be on as well. Before we jump into this great content, I want to plug one of our sponsors here. Give a shout out to Chad Irrigation. Victor and his team over at Chad Irrigation. They do a great job here in Tampa Bay. All of your sprinklers and irrigation needs, make sure you reach out to Victor at Chad Irrigation. Let him know the real estate quarterback sent you. All right, we're going to start off with our Motivational Minute, and this is choose to be happy. So you can choose, you can make choices in life, right? That's the one of the main differentiations from our furry friends, our dogs, our cats, and animals, and the human beings. We can choose, we make choices to be happy. And this one is a quote from the Bible. It says, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." That's Psalms 118 rather, 24. And it reminds me also of a negotiation strategy. When you're thinking about negotiations, and we're all in negotiations every day, whether you realize it or not, right? But the smiling effect, okay, we've talked about this before, something I gleaned from an FBI hostage negotiator's great book, Never Split the Difference. So it's called Smiling Effect. 31% smarter. By the way, you are 31% smarter simply by smiling during your negotiations. And it's something that happens on a neurological level, and it's also the way that you present yourself, because the law of reciprocation is going to come into play. So when your counterpart sees you smiling, they're going to say, "What's this person so happy about? We're negotiating here. We're in a deal. We're deadlocked about this price or this issue." And so just by smiling, you're 31% smarter by smiling with your counterpart, and you put yourself in a good mood. You're going to put them in a better mood, and you're going to have what they call mental agility when you do that. So exercise the smiling effect, choose to be happy, and remember that this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. All right, there you have it. There's our Motivational Minute. Let's welcome in attorney Karmika Rubin. Welcome in.
Hello, welcome, or should I say amen and amen?
I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's right. Because you have your own ministry as well, I think, right?
I sure do. So when you talked about the Bible, I started to smile.
Yes, that's it. Awesome. I love it. And you are also an attorney here in Tampa Bay, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show.
Yes.
Why don't we start with just a little overview about you and your practice?
Well, this is how I like to talk about the practice, which is located in the lovely downtown St. Pete, right by the pier. I feel like a tourist every day. I love to say that we help families. We help families with their business needs, whether it's profit or nonprofit. We help families with their family needs, whether it's staying together or not staying together, child support issues, divorce. We also help families with their real estate needs, whether it's commercial real estate needs or residential, mortgages, notes, quit claim deeds. And then we also help families a little bit with the time of departure, with drafting wills and different matters of that effect.
Very cool. So you cover a good amount there. And today we're going to talk a little bit about divorce and the situation of, what happens if the spouse owns something before the marriage and then they have, marital assets after that, and how that kind of plays out. So let's start off with that. What type of divorce exists in Florida?
So divorce, although is not the best thing, that people celebrate, it's not the best thing that makes a person happy all the time, but it does exist. It does happen. So Florida is very simple. Either it's contested or it's uncontested, meaning either you're going to agree with that spouse on everything or you're not. It's quicker if you agree. But if you don't agree, the courts are still there for you, and so are we.
Yeah, this is interesting. And you see more of those. I saw some billboards or something one day about, the agreeable divorces. I forgot the name of it, but it was something similar to that, to where, hey, we pretty much agree. Let's try to make this as easy as possible, which has to be less than like 10% of the time, right?
Exactly. Oh my gosh. So we look at it as simplified dissolution of marriages, and each county is different as far as how soon you can get into court. But if all of your documents are drafted, in Pinellas County, you're talking no less than 20 days. Hillsborough, about 45 days. So if you're like, we want to be divorced today, agree. Yeah. And smile.
Agree and smile. There you go. That's right. And so what is the term equitable distribution? We've heard that kind of thrown around out there.
Yes. So that is more of a 50-50. Okay. And when I talk to couples, because sometimes I'm able to actually talk to both at one time, most times it's just my client, but it's saying all of your assets and all of your liabilities are literally split down the middle, typically, but a court is looking for what is fair. What is equitable? So it's not that one spouse is going to leave and they're going to be so up here with assets, liabilities at the end of the calculations, but the court wants them to be, somewhat even. So equitable distribution is when people love to say, give me half. I want half. Is cheaper to keep her, but not all the time.
Yeah, there you go. And it seems like too you'd hear stories about how the courts, and maybe this is 10, 15 years ago, but the courts were a little bit harsher in some people's view towards the male versus the female. Have you seen that, and also maybe how has that evolved? Has that evolved since from the 90s, late 90s, 2000s to 2020? Here we are in 2022.
Yeah, so it was done intentionally, because when you think about back to the 1940s, 50s, 60s, then the male was the primary breadwinner.
Right.
And so he was, bringing in the majority of the income, and women by law, because of how things were set up, they were more of the homemakers. They were keeping everything flowing with the children and things at home, but things have evolved. Things have changed, but the law didn't.
Yeah.
So a lot of the law that's on the books still favor women in certain regards. And now you hear men saying, wait a minute, I'm entitled to alimony.
Right.
No, this 50-50 should go towards me as well, not just towards the woman, because as as society has changed, women are more in the workforce. Some men have taken a different role, and so that man may walk away with more than a woman.
Yeah, and in a lot of cases too, you have dual incomes, because let's face it, the American project, it's the best in the planet, it's the best on Earth, right? But the challenges are you have growing cost of everything over the years, right? I mean, look at the price of whatever in the 80s versus now.
Yes.
And so back then, you could have the one household, and then arguably, it's best that the females in the home taking care of the kids. I mean, they're more nurturing. The man can go out and make the living. I think that's very biblical as well, when you really kind of break that down. But the way that's all changed, it's like, wow, now we've got rising cost of everything, and even, of course, today with inflation where it's at. But now you've got more families having to have two incomes. Some even have 2 or 3 jobs, and it's a challenge for families to kind of have that unit at home when both parents are out working. Then what do? We pay for daycare, so we send our kids off to some kind of a daycare with a stranger, but that's how our life has gotten busier as well.
Exactly. And when you look at we're in 2022, and the way that America has transitioned, it does now, a lot of families depend on 2 incomes of the husband and of the wife. And sometimes they're actually living off their credit card.
Yes.
So you may look like you have, but you may not actually have it because there's a lot of debt. So when it comes to equitable distribution, I tell people it's not just half of the house and the car, but it's half of that loan, that credit card, that student loan, if one person went back to school or not. And it doesn't matter your gender as much. However, a lot of courts still will have that tear in the heart for the woman.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we all have mothers, right?
Yes.
Sometimes we have siblings and et cetera, aunts and et cetera. But yeah, so that's let's leave it at that. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to ask you a little bit more deeper questions in terms of what if I own a business and then prior to the marriage, then we get divorced. How do you look at businesses? How's that all playing out in the courts? And more with attorney Karmika here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to ConsumerQB.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here for Cleaning Commandos here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Cleaning Commandos are hiring, and they're offering competitive wages, flexible hours, relaxed atmosphere, and a sign-on bonus. Reach out if you'd like a career with the Cleaning Commandos here in Tampa Bay. Info at cleaningcommandosllc.com or call 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550. Cleaning Commandos, Consumer Quarterback Show. Hey, Brandon Rhymes here. We are looking for real estate investors. We've got a new relationship bringing us a tremendous amount of off-market real estate investment opportunities. So text the word investor to our hotline, 813-750-0550. Off-market real estate investment opportunities. Text investor to 813-750-0550. Brandon Rhymes here, Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, looking for real estate investors. Send us a text. Have you desired more income and more freedom in your life? Now is your time. Keller Williams Realty has just launched our own real estate school, and you can get licensed for free. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And for the first 3 people who reach out, I will personally coach you. 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. ConsumerQB.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at ConsumerQB.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Hot property listing here in Pinellas County, 14626 Loredon Drive. This is a beautiful property, $1 million listing of our team, the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. And this is on the peninsula. So you've got intercoastal waterways, 180-degree views, private boat dock, bay access. Take your boat to lunch and dinner. Just enjoy that Florida lifestyle to the best degree. 14626 Loredon Drive in Seminole. Beautiful property listing of ours here in Tampa Bay. We've got a heated pool, tennis courts, and much more. You can see all of our listings at PlatinumMVPteam.kw.com.
All I've got's love for Love City.
And a quick shout out to Discovery Golf Cars, longtime friends of the program here, formerly known as Golf Cart Depot. Discovery Golf Cars online at discoverygolfcars.com. Lots of makes and models to choose from. They've got this Easy Go, Star EV, Cushman, and pre-owned and new as well, as you can rent or buy. And check them out online or in person over at Clearwater and Tampa locations, discoverygolfcars.com. Let Ethan know that you're a friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we got attorney Karmika Rubin in the house. We're talking about divorce, family law, and some of the different ways that courts are looking at things differently now versus then in these different areas. But when it comes to divorce situation, what happens if one party owns a business prior to the marriage and then, of course, they get divorced?
Oh, great question. So when it comes to marital property, because, we talked about the 50-50 earlier in the show, but when it comes to the 50-50, it is only for equitable distribution. It is only for marital property. Okay. So it does depend on when you actually go into business, who you go into business with. And if you have the business before marriage, that is considered non-marital.
Right.
So there are some things I would ask business owners to consider when they're married or before they get married, is check your documents, check your business documents, go back to your articles of incorporation. If it's an INC, look at your operating agreement, your bylaws, LLCs, go back and look at what happens to my interest in this business, whether I'm married, whether I pass away. So there's just some different things. So I say, listen, go out there and review your paperwork. If you don't have bylaws, if you don't have articles of organization or an operating agreement, if it's an LLC, you need to have it drafted for yourself and for any future partners.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're not covering these different contingencies that come up and you're not outlining that prior to, you're leaving yourself up for interpretation. Mm-hmm. And some of these things are just completely omitted. If one of the partners pass away, do the beneficial interest of that LLC or that business flow to the spouse or to the daughter, to the siblings? How does that play out, right?
Exactly. You need to, one, if you're going into business with someone else, understand them, like them,
right?
Because if it's your livelihood or another stream of income, but just understand their dynamics and let them also be okay with your family dynamics. Because if you pass away, who's going to take control? If it's shares, who then can come in and speak their personal view and input over that business and what that business will do and will not do.
Yeah. And then you got also situations where one of the spouses owns the business, or maybe it was a pre-existing, and then the other party, the other spouse, works there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So true story. So the parties are getting divorced. One party walks away. I'm done. But then you're not completely done, because now you're an employee of that business and you have to face them. You can't just say, we're getting a divorce, you're fired.
Yeah.
No, in Florida, you can terminate a person for any reason, but that would not be a wise thing to do. You really have to go back, have that dialogue. I like what we talked about earlier. You mentioned negotiating and smiling. Try to get everything panned out in agreement. So even if they have to exit that particular company, let it be smooth. Yeah. Because you don't want additional troubles, additional issues, and anything else to come that you had not anticipated monetarily wise.
Yeah.
So when when everything is good, we want to include our spouses in everything.
Right.
And I say think twice.
Yeah, exactly. Be careful and document. And that's another key thing to consider. We're talking with attorney Karmika Rubin here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. She's online at rubinslaw.com, RUBINS law.com, law offices of KV Rubin, PA, divorce and business. So that brought me to a point where I was thinking about, I lost my point there, but we're thinking about the idea of divorcing with a business, and I was thinking about the different types of that was it, the documentation. So when you're documenting, and Florida being a no-fault state, right? So you can fire pretty much for any reason.
Yes.
And that was a whole lot of stuff going on with COVID, and where there are going to be responsibilities for the business owners, et cetera.
Exactly.
But so Florida being a no-fault state, technically you could, I guess, fire the spouse, then go to divorce court, et cetera. But like you said, you're kind of setting yourself up for that reverse slap coming back toward you, right?
Yeah, and it's just a couple of points. One, Florida is a no fault. However, if there is an agreement, it goes back to documents. If
Right.
there's an agreement for that particular employer, meaning it's contractual, you cannot just terminate their services for that particular company because there's a contract governing it. If there's no agreement, then that's fine. The other thing that you have to consider, if this is their only source of income,
Right.
and now you get into, well, are we looking at alimony? Are we looking at child support? Because they look at what your income is.
Right.
And a court will say, I don't think that was the wisest thing for you to do, because now you've terminated their employment,
Yep.
decreased their income,
Yep.
and now they can do a motion or put it into the petition. Well, you're going to pay me now without me working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seek
Exactly.
seek an attorney so they can help you strategize to have that to happen. Or if you're having that experience, seek legal guidance. But there's so many different things that happen in real life that people don't think about because they're emotionally separated, but doesn't mean you're business-wise
That's the key.
separated.
Yeah, that's the key. When it comes to negotiations and these types of things, the number one thing that you think about with human beings is that we're irrational. As much as we like to think we're rational, we are irrational, and then we're also emotional beings. So we're emotional and we're irrational. And when you let those emotions get the better part of you, you're making decisions that are not going to be in line with what's best as the overall outcome. And then something we haven't even mentioned is when kids are involved, you got children involved with this, getting drugged through the mud. Seeing, and then hearing some of the phone conversations maybe in the back seat, et cetera, as much as they're, small and you think they may not understand, they're picking up on that.
Yeah, and it's a joke. Imagine Zoom, because now with COVID, everything has shifted to Zoom, although some courts are opening back up. But you have parents in a court hearing with the children in a car in the back seat.
Right.
You have a court hearing, and this was one court hearing on Zoom, mom, dad, children running in the background.
Yep.
And they can hear.
Yep.
They can feel the tension in the atmosphere. So a lot of judges are like, oh my gosh, is that your child in the background?
Oh, man.
How much have they heard? Because you're emotional, you're loud,
Yep.
you're talking and downplaying the other parent, and the child can hear that.
Yeah.
That is never good. But Zoom, OMG. Courtroom, kids are not allowed. Zoom,
Zoom is, it's amazing how much it's taken over. I bumped into a prominent figure this morning at a smoothie shop by the gym, and he's if I said the name, you know him. I don't know if he'd want me to say it, but so I'm not going to. But he's involved with these HSN, these online. He said, we landed on the COVID topic, the Chinese virus, and he said, the same thing happened with us. We don't even go into the office anymore. They made us do a lot of our stuff from home. So fortunate he had a big house, and he's saying, I'm doing it from home now. I'm Zooming and putting out my products over the the Zoom and the internet now. But so many companies have gone to that. The courts have done that.
Yes.
And, people are saving a lot of gas money. Some people love it, but I think you just lose that emotional appeal, that face to face, that neural resonance that happens when you're face to face.
Yes. One of the things, there's pros and cons. One of the things with Zoom that judges mainly dislike, one is people are more unprofessional on Zoom. Their attire, their demeanor, their location is very unprofessional, and they don't respect that this is still a courtroom,
right,
although virtual. The other thing that the courts do not like is they can't monitor if a person is giving testimony. And this has happened, where the attorney is telling the client what to say via text message.
Right.
They do not like that, and that attorney got in trouble. The other thing that courts do not like with Zoom is they can't, what you mentioned, they can't get a feel of who's telling the truth based on your demeanor.
Right.
Now one of the things they do like is Zoom, you can see all faces at one time.
Yeah.
And that can work against you if the camera is right up here and you're
Right.
like, every no, and they're like, hold on. So there's pros and cons. I like the convenience of it. I like that we can, be in more than one place at one time, because we can, as an attorney, we can multitask.
Yeah.
I can be in Miami and then 5 minutes later be in Tampa.
Yep, exactly.
And then 3 minutes after that, be back in Pinellas County.
There's pros and cons for sure online at rubinslaw.com. Karmika Rubin, attorney Karmika Rubin, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Reach out to the hotline if you'd like to get in touch as well. 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894, and we'll put you right in touch with attorney Karmika Rubin. Coming up, Michael Watkins here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. 401k revival here on the program. We'll be right back after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Wright.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
You ready, Michael?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
All right, buddy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
And welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win in any marketplace. Coming up, our feel-good story as well. Wounded veteran is gifted a smart home from the Gary Sinise Foundation. Lieutenant Dane is at it again. He's an awesome guy, Gary Sinise. And I want to let you know about a hot listing here. We got this property at 14663 Village Glen. This is in Carrollwood, Tampa. Beautiful property right here in Tampa Bay. 2-bedroom, 2-bath property with a pool. Lots of upgrades. It's got a beautiful waterfall on the property. It's 14663 Village Glen. And this is in Carrollwood, one of the highly sought-after areas. Got a pool and spa package, screened-in lanai, and a large backyard. Beautiful property, completely renovated. Master bath has some pretty cool features as well. Jacuzzi tub, sauna, and tanning bed. And you can see all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet.
All right, we're going to bring our friend Michael Watkins into the conversation. 401k Revival is his book. He's a published author and online at tampabayadvisory.com. And Michael, today we're going to review chapter 10 of your book, Change for the Better. And for our listening and viewing audience out there, I'm holding a copy of the book up to the screen. So welcome back to the program.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be back.
Yes, sir. So, this is a challenge that people see a lot of times. It's, making changes in life. It can be challenging, especially because we're all creatures of habit. And I know you help people in this area. So let's unpack some of the highlights from this chapter.
Yeah, well, you're right. Without question, one of the most uncomfortable things for, people to do is to make change and do it successfully. And it's really because, we have the herd or tribe mentality as human beings. Sometimes we find ourselves moving in a certain direction simply because everybody else around us is, right? And, it's a form of peer pressure. But in the investment world, just because a product or service happens to be popular, with a friend or family member, doesn't mean it's the right thing for you and for your financial situation. So I'd like to quote Michael Miles from the book. And Michael says, the essence of life is change. Change is the only constant. Mm-hmm. It seems surprising that we tend to resist change. But I believe that we should embrace it. It's going to happen to us sooner or later in one form or another, so why not take control of it and proactively shape ourselves, because we're always moving either in a direction of growth or in a direction of decay. So why not decide to grow and become better than, who we are right now?
That's powerful. Absolutely. That's the one constant is change. That's absolutely right. And how do you help people start down that road, Michael?
Well, it's a pretty slow move, Brandon. We take baby steps along the way, but it really starts with educating people and exposing a lot of the untold financial truths that they really need to understand. And, we're bombarded with so much marketing nowadays. I mean, who knows what's right and what's wrong for them, right? And there are two stories that I like to tell in particular regarding change, and one is taken from the book Awareness, written by Anthony DeMello, And it goes like this. An eagle lays an egg, and somehow the egg finds its way into a chicken coop. The chicken incubates the egg with all of her others, and when it hatches, she rears the eagle as if it was one of her own chicks. The little eagle learns to peck and dust for food, flap its wings, struts around the farmyard, and then one day an eagle flies overhead, and the little eagle looks up and sees this, and he says to himself, I wish I were an eagle. how majestic, how free, and how beautiful to have such a life. Well, the eagle lived like a chicken and died like a chicken because that is what he thought. And then the next story I like to tell is from Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. And it goes like this. There was a beggar sitting on an old wooden bench, and he'd been sitting there for years. And he sits on the street, and he begs for money. But then one day, someone walked past and told the old beggar that he didn't have anything to give him except a piece of information. And the stranger tells the old man that his wooden box is full of money and treasure. And the old guy laughs it off and soon forgets what the stranger had told him, and he dies without ever opening the box. So these two stories perfectly sum up this quote by the late, great Jim Rohn. You don't know what you don't know, and sometimes what you think you know really isn't so.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And a lot of times you see that in life and politics. And speaking of that, I want to play a quick clip here about inflation going on so heavy right now. Inflation, crippling our country, hurting the middle class at record numbers. Check out this clip here. I'm going to play.
We need to dispassionately assess the situation and then provide a roadmap forward for how to fix this mess, the absolute multiple crises that have been created by Joe Biden and his cronies, which include too many Republicans in the establishment. Let me give you a couple points of math here. The first on inflation, and I put this up on Getter, if the producers can put my Getter post up. Even Bloomberg News, not exactly a right-wing source, even Bloomberg News acknowledges that the average American household needs to spend an extra $5,200 this year on the goods and services that they need because of inflation. Now, Steve, with median household income in the upper 60s, about $68,000 or so per year, that means that is 8% of their income that is simply gone. That just vanishes, which means if I want to put it in calendar terms, that's roughly a month. So this month of March, which is ending, if you worked hard this month, like almost every American has, guess what? This whole month of toil and labor, poof, it is gone because of Joe Biden.
So, yeah, Michael, your reaction to that, I mean, you look at inflation, you look how it's harming people, and, the cost of your dollar is just, or the weight of your dollar, rather, is just not going as far as it used to.
Absolutely, it's not. And I think one of the things that folks really need to pay attention to is keeping up with inflation, and also I like to frame it pretty simply, the less you lose, the more you get to keep. So there's a certain element of risk management that people have to, employ in their savings. But, it's a real shame. I think it's just personally, settling political scores are now affecting the average American, and we all know that it's not rocket science. And so everything in this country works off of energy, and there you go.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so we're visiting here with Michael Watkins. He's a principal, Tampa Bay Advisory, author of 401k Revival, his popular book. You can find it online, of course. We're reviewing Chapter 10, Change for the Better, with Michael here. So how do these stories correlate to the 401k investor and the path that they have been going down for many years and sometimes decades?
Yeah, well, there's a great correlation between these two stories, Brandon. Neither the eagle or the old man had the knowledge or awareness to experience the full potential of their lives. So essentially, they just lived lives of mediocrity because they lacked the desire to learn and explore. So they settled on a life as it was. And today, the majority of 401k investors are stuck in the old 401k format. And think about it, that's now 40 years old.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting, man. A lot of unknowns, a lot of misnomers around investing and how to put your money to work in a passive way. And I think so many people focus on let's just face it, we spend a lot of time on stuff that doesn't matter, like the fantasy football picks or planning a vacation or whatnot, but we don't put enough time into planning these difficult making these difficult decisions of where do I put my money? How do I get the most out of my dollar? How do I get into a 401k plan, Michael?
Yeah. So I agree with that. And, I think a lot of people, quite frankly, are afraid of being taken advantage of, and they just don't know where to turn.
Absolutely. That's right. So, most people don't know, that they can make a tweak to their 401k accounts and probably feel like it's a ton of work. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I would agree with that 100%. And that's really why I wrote the book, Brandon. I want to help empower the average 401k investor by teaching them how to harness risk management. And so, like I said before, simply put, the less you lose, the more you get to keep. And I believe right now many people are thinking back to 2000 and 2008 when the market crashed, and it's bothering them. And here's something, Brandon, most folks don't realize that it took 12 years collectively to recover from all those losses. And 12 years is a long time to lose in the investment world. And in fact, in the financial world, we termed the first 10 years of the new millennium as the lost decade. So just think about losing 50% of your retirement savings right before you're getting ready to retire, and then it takes 12 years to recover.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember in the right after 9/11, I was in the mortgage industry, and I was going around, and we would do refinance transactions for folks and help them, consolidate debt, could pay off credit cards, et cetera. And I was looking at some of their statements, and I couldn't believe it because I was, much younger in the early 2000s than I am now. But, when you look at some of those statements and you see it on paper, wow, that you see, literally somebody that went from 700,000 down to 300,000 or even worse. Man, that's got to be just a huge hit for somebody, both, of course, in the pocketbook, but also from a mental standpoint, Michael.
Oh, yeah, it's an emotional drain. And just think, Brandon, about the folks back then in 2000 or either 2008, and they were maybe just months away or a year away from retirement. How did that affect them psychologically, and what did they do?
Right. Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, more with Michael Watkins. He's the principal of Tampa Bay Advisory, financial expert here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, published author as well. Check out his book, 401k Revival, TampaBayAdvisory.com. And when we come back, our feel-good story of the day, find out about Gary Sinise. He does it again. Lieutenant Dan does it again. Wounded veteran is gifted a smart home from the Gary Sinise Foundation. We'll be right back here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the real estate quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. Any of our listeners out there, we'll offer you a 2% listing for the first 3 callers that reach out to the hotline, 813-917-1894. Call or text the hotline, 813-917-1894. Also, a great opportunity for folks out there looking for a part-time gig, maybe a side hustle, is Keller Williams Real Estate School, powered by Kaplan. Reach out if you'd like more information on how we have a free real estate school for you, online class, get licensed, and start referring business in, or maybe make a new career. 813-917-1894, ConsumerQB.com for our syndicated radio and TV show on 80 outlets worldwide, ConsumerQB.com, or our real estate website at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com. That's PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com. And please follow us online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram, Twitter, Getter, and check out our YouTube channel, Brandon Rhymes Realty. Make it a great day.
My name is James DeJerome, and I produce the Consumer Quarterback Show for Brandon Rhymes. The Consumer Quarterback Show is a team, a group of like-minded professionals who partner together to provide our audience sound advice, knowledge, and information to make them wiser consumers. We work with all types of business owners and aggressively promote our local economy. We're currently conducting interviews for our expert contributors. If you own a business or know someone who would benefit from the exposure our show provides, please contact us at 813-750-0550 or online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We like to feature our real estate listings here, help our sellers profit more and sell faster, utilizing our innovation with radio, TV, and internet marketing. Also part of the Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment Division, newly launched division of Keller Williams Realty. So excited about that. We got a condo here, 4823 Ebbtide Lane, unit number 405. This is a penthouse available on the river, waterfront. You've got Gulf of Mexico views from the 4th story condo here, 4823 Ebbtide Lane. Beautiful property, covered parking, brand new flooring, fresh paint, 1,100 square feet, 1 bedroom, 2 bath. Could easily be converted back to a 2 bedroom as well. Spectacular 270-degree views and the Gulf of Mexico, Cody River. There's a marina next door as well if you're a boater. So you can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75. Tell me something good.
All right, so a wounded veteran in Adams, Tennessee was honored with the keys to his new specially adapted smart home, courtesy of the Gary Sinise Foundation. In 2010, retired Army Sergeant Christopher Kurtz was serving in the 101st Airborne Division in Afghanistan when an IED went off nearby, shooting Kurtz about 60 feet into the air, causing the amputation of both of his legs as well as 2 of his fingers. This week, he received a brand new smart home that has been customized to make living easier for Kurtz. And the Gary Sinise Foundation, of course, founded by Sinise, who played a wounded war veteran, Lieutenant Dan, in the movie Forrest Gump, said the experience opened a whole new world for him. And that is your feel-good story of the day. I love those segments on our show. We've got Michael Watkins here on the program. Michael is the principal Tampa Bay advisory here, and we're talking about 401ks and investment opportunities. Michael, what do you think is some of the top misnomers that people have when it comes to getting set up with a program, getting a 401k in place, and starting to build up that retirement plan?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of misinformation that kind of circles around, maybe urban myths, but, for the average person, Brandon, managing a 401k on their own is a very daunting task. Just understanding the dynamics of mutual funds and, different ratios and just performance in the past and that type of thing. That's better left to professionals, quite frankly. And I, from where I sit, when people come in and talk with me, they have no idea that professional Section 338 money managers exist to take over their 401k account for them. And when I say take over, I just mean help them manage it and properly balance things. And then people also don't know about the tools that are available today to help them experience approximately missing 80% of severe downturns and then participating in approximately 80% of the upturns. So there are, computer algorithms that have a lot of this stuff in place and just help people sidestep market crashes. So again, it's pretty simple. The less you lose, the more you get to keep. And risk management is one of the main things I believe that 401k investors overlook.
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. And, right now is an interesting time. There's a lot of geopolitical stuff happening overseas, the war in Ukraine, just a lot of challenges going on out there. And of course, inflation, as we mentioned. But what do you see happening potentially, with our stock market and our markets here over the next, maybe 6 months to 18 months?
Wow. Well, I don't have a crystal ball. However, I would say choppy would probably be a good word. But you know what? As soon as I say choppy, the market might start marching forward, and that's really where risk management comes into place. So when you have proper risk management in place, Brandon, you really don't have to worry about catastrophic losses.
Right.
I mean, well, you do worry about it, but at least you know you have a team that's watching out for you. And hey, guess what? What if the market started going down and a team moved 30 or 40% of your assets into cash or into T-bills or something like that, a safe investment, and then it went further and they take another 30 or 40% and move it into a safe position. That's how you can avoid taking that entire drawdown and losing money. So when you can scale out of it and then scale back in, I think investors will end up with a smile on their face at the end of it.
Right, yeah, because there's vehicles, as you mentioned, that you can take a percentage of the upside, but then you have very limited downside if the market should turn and something major were to happen.
That's correct, and to be clear, the stock market is a rough and tumble place, so you will lose money in a severe market crash. But the question is, how much?
Right.
For example, 2008, would it be better to maybe have a drawdown of 8, 10, 12% opposed to 50%? I think most people would agree with that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Check out the book online, 401k Revival. Where can folks find your book?
Yeah, on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble, and they can also go to the 401k Revival. Check it out on my website and purchase it there.
Excellent. And online, how can folks connect with you?
Sure. They can contact me through my phone, 813-854-4400, or they can contact me on my website, tampabayadvisory.com. There's a Contact Us page there. They can actually book an appointment with me, and I'm happy to have, a Zoom meeting or a phone meeting with people and talk about where they are and how I might be able to help them.
Yeah, that's important. Reach out to Michael. Check him out online, tampabayadvisory.com. Thanks for joining us on the show today, Michael. Appreciate you.
You bet, Brandon. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, so that's Michael Watkins, Principal, Tampa Bay Advisor. He's got a great website. Check out the website. It looks really awesome. And we also heard from Karmika Rubin here on the show today. And I just wanted to play a quick clip here and kind of squeeze something in here about Disney, what's going on with Disney here in Florida. Quick clip here.
And Walt Disney was one of the most creative men in American history, an amazing entrepreneur. If he were to look at his company today, he would not even believe that Disney has become a den of demons. And that's exactly what it is. Because listen, if they want to preach their toxic secular humanism at adults, fine, have at it. But when you're talking about indoctrinating children, that is not fine. It is evil. It is wrong. And the fact that they are criticizing Governor DeSantis for simply taking a very sensible stand and saying, we are not going to indoctrinate young children in matters sexual from whatever ideological point of view, right? The fact that they are willing to criticize DeSantis to this level, I think reveals really what rotten hearts, unfortunately, have corrupted companies like Disney. And here's the thing. DeSantis' bill is a great start. It is a great jumping off point, and he and the Florida legislature showed a lot of bravery in doing so.
Yeah, so thank God we've got a great governor here in the state of Florida. Disney halts use of girls and boys may kill prince and princess. Unbelievable what's happening in our world today. So stay vigilant out there, stay fighting, and we appreciate you tuning in to our show, the Consumer Quarterback Show. Find us online, consumerqb.com, and we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another, be a force for good in the community, and we'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.